What's good everyone, Shurrit here. What you just saw there was a display of power despite being against an AI of the deck I like to call NEKROZ Blue Eyes. Now, no, I did not stack the decks before anybody asks that I did stack the decks, because I definitely didn't. This is legit what I actually drew on the board I managed to make. If it amazed you, don't worry, it actually amazed me that I actually managed to make that board, because that is just amazing. No, I didn't really go neg at all. Well, 6 cards into 5 cards, and considering the cards were like 2 Chaos Maxes and a Trishula, I don't really consider that neg, if you guys know what I'm trying to say, considering my opponent went neg because I trished them. But anyways, let's get right into the deck profile. I'm sure you guys can get the concept of the deck just based off the replay. So first of all, we have 3 copies of Blue Eyes White Dragon. Now this card is very important. You need to send this off Advanced Ritual Art. You do turbo out a lot, like turbo them into the graveyard really quickly, because you need to send them to summon your Chaos Max. You can draw them, you can search them off a Melody of Awakening Dragon. It's one of the very important cards in the deck. You definitely need this card at 3. I would not put it down to 2, I would not put it down to 1. It's 100% necessary at 3. But the card that isn't 100% necessary at 3 is the next card, which is Blue Eyes Alternative White Dragon, and I played 2 copies of this card. Now this card, you're probably thinking, well, sure, in normal Blue Eyes decks they play 3 copies. Well, that's because normal Blue Eyes decks kind of revolve around the Alternative Dragon, and that's like their main power card, and then you'll obviously utilize the extra deck. But with this deck, because you're playing a lot more higher level monsters, you are prone to bricking. So by playing 3 alternatives, you will end up with hands with 2 alternatives. Sometimes I've even drawn 3 alternatives. And because you can search off a Melody of Awakening Dragon, and because it's not your main power play of the deck and you don't rely off it, it's more of an added thing in there just to make sure you always have something to do. I would not put it at 3, and 2 is necessary. Is like fine, there's nothing wrong with it. Next up, we have 1 copy of Dragon Spirit of White. Now this isn't a necessary card, but I like to play it just for the removal, because I don't play any back row removal in the main deck, because obviously it's supposed to be a kind of OTK deck where you're just like pushing out your monsters and quickly summoning them and hoping your opponent doesn't really have that much response, or maybe trying to make one power play with like Trishula. If that gets stopped, summon Chaos Max, like kind of a backup thing. So Dragon Spirit of White is nice. It's another trading target, of course. I was thinking that I don't really want to be trading in Chaos Max. Blue Eyes is okay, Alternatives not really, so having this Dragon Spirit of White that can be another trading target, and you can obviously summon it back off Return of the Dragon Lords to banish back row, is really good. Next up, the mandatory cards. 3 copies of Manju and 3 copies of Senju. You could cut Senju down to 2 if you want. I play 3-3 because I really want consistency, and the kind of thing is you play less of the card you search and more of the searcher, so that's why I'm playing 3 of each, because when I only play 2 Senju or 1 Senju and then obviously the 3 Manju, so total of 4 or 5, I found that I barely ever drew it, but the extra 1 copy of the card or extra 2 copies of the card really made sure I drew it. Yes, sometimes you could draw 2 and that is unfortunate, but it's worth the risk. The rewards outweigh the risks, if you get what I'm trying to say. So definitely I would keep both these cards at 3, because they are necessary to allow you to like turbo through your deck. Next up, 1 copy of NEKROZ of Trishula. Now this card is really good. I'm playing a card that allows me to advance Ritual Art it, and I'll talk about that a little bit later. The fact that you can drop Blue Eyes Chaos Max Dragon and NEKROZ of Trishula is amazing, and because it gives you 2 power plays, so you're getting rid of some of your opponent's cards, and then obviously Chaos Max is pushing for game, and the fact that you could maybe bait out your opponent because they're scared of Trishula using one of their cards, and then you can drop Chaos Max Dragon, so kind of like Trish takes like the defenses, and then Chaos Max will just push in for the attack, is really good. Next up, 3 copies of Chaos Max. Now this is where it gets a bit weird. So you're thinking, oh well, sure, most Blue Eyes Chaos Max Dragon pure decks, so just based around the Max Dragon, only play 2. I play 3 because I'm just when I play 2, yes, you can search it off Melody and stuff, but as you saw, if you play 3, you can potentially drop 2 copies of this card, because I obviously play the ritual spells, the Chaos Form and the Advanced Ritual Art, and I want to increase my chance of drawing it so I don't have to search it, and then can potentially go into alternative using my Melody rather than searching my Chaos Max Dragon just to do the Chaos Max play. So it does opens up the power of the deck, and obviously there were a few like free spaces in the deck when I originally built this. So I thought, okay, let's try and increase consistency. So I obviously put in the extra Senjus and thought maybe the extra Chaos Max would help, and it 100% helped during testing and stuff. So definitely 3 copies of this card. Next up, one Gungear. Now this is weird. I play it because in theory it helps you go first, because you can drop Unicorn, search this, and because we have 2 prep now, so we do need another card that we can search off prep. Once you use the first prep, you're obviously searching Brio or Unicorn, and then you'll only have Close left in the deck for the second prep. So I thought Gungear would be another good card to search off. It's just an extra addition to the deck. It could brick you, I suppose. It never has bricked me yet. You could potentially summon it as well by sending like maybe Leo and then summoning Gungear and Closeless if you're desperate. So it is an overall good card. It's not mandatory, but it's obviously another nice card you can put into the deck. Next up, 1 copy of NEKROZ Embryonic, self-explanatory. Searches all your NEKROZ stuff, searches your Unicorn. I'm talking about Unicorn, 1 copy of Unicorn. Still limited, unfortunately. I will just keep on being salty about that. I never actually expected Unicorn of all cards to get limited. I knew it was good, but I never expected Konami to go after it during NEKROZ format. So Unicorn, obviously the deck revolves around it. You want to drop your Unicorn and then use the search of Herald to search one of your Chaos Max cards or your ritual spells. So that is very good. Next up, play 3 copies of NEKROZ of Colossus. Now, I suppose you could cut this to 2 if you wanted. Obviously, as I've said, I like to play more of the searcher and less of the card we're searching. So rather than play 2 Colossuses and 2 Kaleidoscopes, I'd prefer to play 3 Colossuses and 1 Kaleidoscope, if you get what I'm trying to say. Obviously, it's a turbo deck, so I might as well play as many searchers as possible. And here's the card that helps you to summon Trishula of ARA. It's Flamvor Guard. Now, you're probably thinking it could brick you, and I kind of have helped myself not brick with it by including the Synchro Monsters in the extra deck, because of course you can tune your Flamvor Guard and your Blue Eyes to summon a Spirit Dragon or something like that. So that is very, very good. Obviously you don't really want to draw it, you want to keep it in your deck. It's kind of like a Garnet, but it's not as bad as drawing the Garnet. But the fact that it allows you to use ARA to summon Trishula is very, very strong. Like that's very underestimated. Like when you use ARA to drop Trishula, a lot of people are surprised because they've only ever seen Trishula summoned by NEKROZ Mirror or any other NEKROZ ritual spell. So going into the ritual spells, it's a 2-2-2 kind of ratio thing, even though the third 2 aren't the same, but it's 2 copies of Advanced Ritual Art, 2 copies of Chaos Form, and then 1 Kaleidoscope and 1 Mirror, so 2 NEKROZ ritual spells. Now I play 2 ARA and 2 Chaos Form because a lot of the time you'll draw into your Blue Eyes, and if you haven't got enough Blue Eyes in your deck and you play 3 copies of Advanced Ritual Art, you can have dead copies of Advanced Ritual Art in your hand, whereas Chaos Form, because alternative counts in the graveyard as a Blue Eyes, and because you can tribute from the graveyard or your hand, it does make it a lot, not a lot more potent, because obviously ARA can use from the deck, but it does help out and make sure that you don't have dead cards in your hand. So I would advise to play 2 copies of Advanced Ritual Art and 2 copies of Chaos Form. It's much better than playing the 3 Advanced Ritual Art and 1 Chaos Form, because you're less prone to bricking. And then obviously the NEKROZ spells, that's pretty self-explanatory, because you've got prep, you can just get back the ritual spells from your graveyard, and you've got Closeless to search them quickly. Next up, 3 copies of Trading. Trading can obviously get rid of dead Blue Eyes in your hand, which you can then banish off Chaos Form to summon your Chaos Max. The Dragon Spirit in your hand if you happen to draw that. Even Chaos Max sometimes if you do brick. It's came up once or twice maybe, not that much. Sometimes you will have to trade in Chaos Max because you're desperate, but other than that, it barely ever comes up. So trade in most of the time to get rid of the Blue Eyes, Dragon Spirit alternative out your hand, and just dig into your deck to get some of the NEKROZ cards. Next up, we play 3 copies of Melody of Awakening Dragon. Now this card is one of the most important cards in the deck. It allows you to search out your Chaos Max, it allows you to search out your alternative, it allows you to search out your Blue Eyes to go with your alternative. Obviously, this is the main card that gives the deck a lot of consistency. If you brick with maybe like too many copies of Return of the Dragon Lords, too many trade-ins, too many of the Senjus or Manjus, you can obviously just chuck one into the graveyard and grab whichever monsters you need to perform your ritual summons and to go into your power play. So this card is really good, and it adds a lot of power to the deck. If Blue Eyes or Blue Eyes NEKROZ or any deck that utilised the Blue Eyes cards didn't have Melody of Awakening Dragon, they wouldn't be half as good as they are right now. And then next up we have the card everybody knows I love, one of my most favourite cards of all time. It is Preparation of Rite. It's at 2. Once it comes back to 3, this deck is going to be really good, even better than it is now, because you can obviously grab your ARAs back from the graveyard even quicker. It's so nice to have prep at 2 because you have a better chance of drawing it, which means you have a better chance of recovery with this deck if you happen to get like your board wiped out by kaijus and stuff if you don't manage to OTK. You guys all know how much I love this card, and I can't praise this card enough because it is so amazing. Finally, the last 3 cards are cards that help you push for OTKs and protect your Chaos Max. And it is Return of the Dragon Lords, because obviously one of the main ways to out Blue Eyes Chaos Max Dragon is Utopia the Lightning. So what a lot of people do will summon Utopia the Lightning, but obviously because of Return of the Dragon Lords doesn't activate, you can banish it from the graveyard in order to summon in order to stop your Blue Eyes Chaos Max Dragon from being destroyed. So that is very, very good. So that's it for the main deck. We play 23 monsters and 17 spells. That's pretty average actually, because a ritual deck does generally play a lot of monsters, and then obviously a lot of the spells are just searchers, like Melody and then trade-ins for consistency and perhaps a searcher. So going on to the extra deck, we play just 1 fusion, and that is Blue Eyes Twin Burst Dragon. It just can help you push for game. It can open up some monster spaces if you want a ritual summon. It doesn't come up too much. You could potentially send it off Kaleidoscope, I guess, to summon. What level is it actually? I think it's a level 10 monster, yeah, so you could summon a Gunget and a Colossus or a Brio and a Unicorn if you want to do something like that. Next up for the Synchros, some of these cards are niche, like they're situational, but obviously because we have a lot of room in the extra deck, we can afford to play them. So we play 1 copy of Leo, Keeper of the Sacred Tree. I'm pretty sure that is what his name is, trying to remember it off by heart. Yep, he's the Keeper of the Sacred Tree. You can obviously summon him by tuning your Trishula and your Flamvor God together, because once you've used your Trishula, it's kind of just a 2700 beta. So Leo's a nice card you can go into, and it helps you utilize your Flamvor God if you unfortunately do draw it. Then for other synchros, Blue Eye Spirit Dragon and Azor Eye Silver Dragon, pretty self-explanatory, if obviously with the Flamvor God. Now I play 1 copy of Brionic, Dragon of the Ice Barrier. Now Brionic's a good card. You can summon 2 Colossuses off of it. I just put in the extra deck like that because sometimes you can drop 2 Colossuses and it's pretty funny. Because I had room, I was just thinking, okay, what niche card can I put in there? And I put Brionic in there. And then we play 1 Herald. This card is 100% necessary. This card opens up so many plays in the deck because obviously Kaleidoscope, Unicorn, Herald, Search Chaos Max, Search Trishula is just amazing. So definitely Herald, you need it in the extra deck. And then the last card for the Synchros is Mistbird Colossus. Now Mistbird Colossus is decent. Like I would still play it in the extra deck. You can obviously cut some of these cards if you want to play maybe more rank 4s or something. Just all the cards in the extra deck. There's obviously the necessary ones like Herald, but a lot of them you don't go in the extra deck that much because it obviously is a ritual deck, and because Unicorn does zone out the extra deck. So that's it for the Synchros. For the Xyz, we play obviously the Galaxy Eyes package, 1 Dark Matter Dragon, 1 Full Armor Dragon, and Tachyon Dragon. I don't play Cypher because obviously the new Link rules. Overall, these cards are really good. You can drop them if you don't have any ritual plays, or if your opponent weakens your Chaos Max or something, or if they give you like a Gamma Seal, you can overlay the Gamma Seal with a monster you've bought back with Return of the Dragon Lords, and then go into Dark Matter Dragon. And obviously Dark Matter Dragon will drop a couple of dragons in the graveyard, maybe a couple of Blue Eyes, so you can use Chaos Form. You don't have to, is it mandatory? I'm not sure whether or not it is mandatory. You can, so you don't have to send it to the graveyard. Another reason why you want to play this card is for the double attack as well, so you can make 2 attacks on monsters, so that is pretty good. And then next up, the other card we play is just 1 copy of Hope Harbinger Dragon, Titanic Galaxy, the card that has the long name number 38, obviously zone out spell cards. It can give you another play going first. And then to round it off, we just have Castell, obviously Universal Problem Solver, Abyss Dweller to stop graveyard decks, and then we have the Utopia package, which is another Universal Problem Solver. Lightning and Utopia, just Lightning can get rid of even your opponent's Chaos Max or something, or even Zark. I'm pretty sure it can get rid of Zark. And Zark, when people play Pendulum Magician, some people play Zark, and some people don't play Zark, so Utopia the Lightning helps with a lot of to out a lot of monsters that have higher attack points as well. So the universal problem solvers, like I've explained. And then finally, let's go on to the side deck. Go over it very quickly. We play 3 copies of Denko Sekka, 3 copies of Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, 3 copies of Cosmic Cyclone, which is obviously your back row removal that you'll side in if your opponent is playing a back row heavy deck. One Regeki, 1 Dark Hole in anticipation for Spirals, because apparently Spirals are weak to back row removal. And then finally the Solemn Brigade, so 3 copies of Solemn Strike and 1 copy of Solemn Warning. So that's it for the deck. I hope you guys enjoyed the deck profile. I should have some music in the background as usual. It was only 15 minutes this time. I'm actually surprised because normally I go on and on and on, just like in my DDD deck profile where it was 35 minutes long. So I hope you guys enjoyed. This has been Shurit. Peace.